Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this Japan in Bloom, very special cherry blossom show. And what a show we have for you today. Yes, lots to get through today. We're going to be taking you on a virtual journey through Japan. Yes, that is coming up. Have your cases ready, bags packed, because we're off to Japan. Plus, we're going to be seeing sights just like this, the spectacular cherry blossom live from our guides in Japan. Plus, as well, we're going to be talking to some of our VIP customers who've experienced this very special moment with us in Japan. Now, the show is in two parts, lots to get through in the first part, the journeys and the seeing the cherry blossom, but please do stay with us until the end of the show, because that's when we're going straight over to our virtual travel lounge, yes, our VIP travel lounge. And that's your opportunity to ask the travel experts, our Japan team, any questions that you want to ask on traveling in Japan, cherry blossom, and of course, indeed, escorted touring with Wendy Wu Tours. So it really is a good opportunity to ask your questions and to mix and enjoy the lounge with fellow travelers. So we'll open that at the end of the show. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm here now with Kate Rowe. Kate is the Director of Reservations and Operations here at Wendy Wu Tours. Kate, great to see you today.
Good to be back, Andy.
Now we can see behind us a fantastic cherry blossom which has just happened in Japan. Yes, we've waited 3 years for this historic key event and it's happened, Kate.
Oh, Andy, it's so fantastic, and I have to say, the office has been in such high spirits. It's been such a busy period for us, but we are just delighted that after many years, we've finally managed to get so many of our customers to Japan to see cherry blossom. We've talked about this over the last few years. Our customers have been waiting. Some of them booked back in 2019, some booked in 2020, 2021, and they've all just been, so desperate for the borders to open and then for a cherry blossom season to finally be open to international tourists. And it happened. We've had about 2,000 customers on the road in Japan during cherry blossom season. We've had tours up and down the country, visiting all the sites, and we're now seeing their photos coming in and their videos, and it really has been stunning. It's fantastic to see that they got there and they got the blossom. The blossom gods were on our side. The cherry blossom bloomed as expected, and so all of the groups that were heading out there to see that wonderful sight were lucky enough to see it.
And I can vouch for that, ladies and gentlemen. I've seen the photos. It is impressive. It is exactly what you can see behind me here. Okay, with that many people out there in Japan, what were the experiences like? What did people really experience on the ground?
Well, we must remember that as well as being incredibly popular for international tourists to go and visit, the cherry blossom season is also incredibly important to Japanese people. So domestic tourism was also absolutely booming in Japan throughout the season, with millions of people travelling to see family and friends at this really, really special time of year. We've talked about the meaning of the cherry blossom season before, that the blossom is only out at its best for a short period of time, and Japanese people really believe that reflects life, and that life is short but sweet and to be celebrated. So the whole of Japan has been so busy with international tourists and domestic tourists all gathering to celebrate this special time. It's been challenging, of course, for any country to reopen after several years, let alone to then have this huge influx of tourists visiting. But the great thing about booking on one of our fully inclusive trips is our customers really don't have to worry about that. We're taking care of all the logistics for them. So yes, there were flights being cancelled behind the scenes and schedule changes happening behind the scenes, some hotels, overbooking on certain dates, but that really is not for people to worry about. Our team take care of that, making alternative arrangements, and so we were really busy trying to make sure that these things didn't impact our customers and that they could just enjoy their holiday. So the team are really busy looking excitedly at all the feedback that we're getting in from customers, Andy. And you know what really sticks out from that feedback is what a fantastic welcome they really have had in Japan. You know, it was such a historic year to travel to Japan, to be there for that first cherry blossom season in 3 years, and to experience that special time of year to really help you understand like why it's significant to Japanese people, gain that deeper understanding of Japanese culture, and really just experience such a warm welcome from the Japanese, who have just welcomed people back with open arms after several years of not having the international tourists there to celebrate with them.
That's so good to hear, Kate. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're thinking about going to see the cherry blossom, the next big event is Spring 2024. Kate, what have you got to say to ladies and gentlemen at home watching for 2024?
We're already experiencing huge demand to travel in cherry blossom next year. Some of the departures for cherry blossom next year have already sold out, but again, not to worry, our product team have been incredibly busy being able to arrange more departures for next year, so that we still do have plenty of tours that people can call up and find out about and book onto. But I would say, you know, for anybody thinking about travelling in the cherry blossom season, you know, don't delay, get on the phone to us and let us help you book you onto the departure while there is availability.
Fantastic, Kate. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome to Japan in cherry blossom season. My name is Sakano and we take care of Wendy Wu Tours customers here in Japan. This really is one of the most wonderful times to be in this country, and it is a time of huge excitement. The season officially begins in spring when the flowers bloom on the cherry trees at Yasukuni Shrine in Tokyo. Depending on where you are in Japan and when the local blossoms sprout, Hanami occurs anywhere between March and May. In general, it begins to bloom in the south of Japan from end of March, sweeping through Tokyo and Kyoto in April, then ends in the north around early May. If you want to travel from the south to the north of Japan, you can follow the path of cherry blossoms blooming throughout the country.
The formal practice of flower blossom viewing stretches back into the mist of time, but even by 1200 years ago, the Japanese imperial court were recorded as enjoying Hanami, or cherry blossom viewing. The practice was taken up by the samurai class, reflecting their acceptance of life's impermanence, and had become popular amongst common people by the 17th century. Sakura has been celebrated in pottery, paintings, and even songs, and has been planted widely for hundreds of years, meaning today no country on earth can rival Japan for the breadth and variety of its cherry blossom season.
So we are now at Senzoku-ike Park. The cherry blossom is one of the prominent images throughout Japanese culture. For many Japanese, cherry blossoms has been deeply rooted in their daily life, such as traditional literature, pottery, and art. In addition, sakura is also blended in our daily life, which we can find it from the Japanese foods and drinks, such as sakura Kit Kat, sakura cocktails, sake and rice cake, to our local currency of 100 yen coin, and many more. Cherry blossoms also symbolize a time of renewal and hopes, as it's the same season as graduations and entrance ceremonies at Japanese schools. In Japan, cherry blossom season is a time to celebrate. The Japanese word Hanami means flower watching, and Hanami is a nationwide tradition and also a very much hot topic. We have specific cherry blossom weather focus to focus on the blooming status, the best time and location of viewing. People take time off to gather with colleagues, friends, and families for a day to see the flowers. It is custom for Hanami to be accompanied by a picnic or barbecue, complete with sake and lots of tasty seasonal foods. We do not need a special reason to party, just celebrate the beauty of nature and gather together for food, drink, laughs, love and friendship while the sakura are in bloom. Even at night, viewing spots are crowded with people enjoying the blossoms in a beautiful romantic atmosphere.
We hope you have enjoyed the Hanami virtually before your next visit to Japan. We are all, on behalf of Wendy Wu Tours, to welcome you to Japan in the next cherry blossom seasons. We promise it will be an unforgettable experience of seeing the cherry blossoms in person. We can't wait to welcome you to Japan very soon.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, yes, the moment that you've been waiting for. We are ready. We're ready to travel to Japan. And so it's over to Peter Crane, Global Product Director at Wendy Wu Tours, who's going to be taking us on a journey through Japan on Wendy Wu Tours Japan Uncovered Tour, the flagship tour from Wendy Wu Tours. Peter.
Hello, my name is Peter Crane. I'm Product Director here at Wendy Wu Tours. And it's my pleasure to welcome you in this cherry blossom season to one of our favourite destinations in the world, Japan. Whether you visit Japan in March or April for the springtime cherry blossom season, or choose to travel in the equally spectacular autumn leaf season in September and October, when Japan's famous ornamental gardens are arguably at their very best, Japan is the destination that apparently has it all, a quite extraordinary history and cultural traditions like no other, exquisite art and exquisite architecture. Sensational food, where every mouthful seems designed to offer up a different taste, and landscapes that are famous the world over, including this site, the iconic and perfectly symmetrical silhouette of Mount Fuji, Japan's highest point and regarded by many as its spiritual heart. So today I'd like to introduce you to the most popular of our 11 escorted group tours in Japan. This is a 17-day tour called Japan Uncovered, which in our view will show you the very best this country has to offer in a 2-week holiday. Starting in Osaka, the tour takes in the cultural highlights of Nara, Miyajima and Kyoto, then heads north to the Japanese Alps, and where we experience the beauty of the rural landscapes of Kanazawa, Takayama and Nagano, before exploring the equally spectacular region around Mount Fuji and ending the tour at Tokyo, a capital city like no other. We travel mainly by coach, following the normal Wendy Wu policy of allowing 1.5 seats per passenger, and occasionally by bullet train as well, as I'll describe. The tour is escorted by a driver and a national guide, whose job it is to take care of you and all the logistics of the tour, from organising the excursions, the meals, and everything else. The tour is fully inclusive, so you don't have to worry about paying extra for meals, for excursions, or any of the many other activities included in the tour. We start in Osaka, Japan's third largest city, with a reputation for its flamboyance, its fun-loving people, and most of all, for its food. The street food here is out of this world, with local specialities like okonomiyaki, a Japanese-style savory pancake made from shredded cabbage, green onion, and often added pork and other seafood fillings. From Osaka, we visit nearby Nara, the first recognized capital of Japan, with no less than 8 UNESCO-listed historical sites. And also this place, pictured here, Osaka Castle, built in 1583 in a lovely hilltop location overlooking the whole city of Osaka. The following day, we drive west to Himeji Castle. This castle is older still. It dates back to 1333. Of all the castles in Japan, this must be the most impressive for its size and for its beauty. Locally, it's known as the White Heron Castle, and the lines of the architecture, along with its painted white exterior, do make it feel as light as a bird taking off. On a more somber note, we pause at Hiroshima to reflect on the devastation caused by the first atomic bomb in August 1945, but also to admire the way the city has since been rebuilt and now thrives as the leading city in southwestern Japan. From Hiroshima, we visit the nearby island of Miyajima and the lovely Itsukushima Shrine with its very famous floating torii gate. Now, a highlight of any tour to Japan is to travel by bullet train at speeds of up to 320 kilometers an hour or 200 miles per hour. On this tour, we use the bullet train to reach Kyoto, the cultural heart of Japan. Kyoto was the capital city for over 1,000 years and still home to many of Japan's most iconic traditions, such as the custom of the geisha, the wearing of the kimono, and the very precise rituals of the tea ceremony. All of these we'll experience during our time in Kyoto. Kyoto is also home to the highest density of shrines and temples anywhere in Japan. For example, the stunning but minimalist Kinkakuji Temple, also known as the Golden Temple, set in its tranquil gardens and surrounded by water to show off the golden reflections. Perhaps the most spiritually evocative place we visit in Kyoto is the Fushimi Inari Shrine. It's in a beautiful setting with 10,000 vermilion painted torii gates. These gates represent the journey from the everyday world into the spiritual world. Driving north, we come to Kanazawa and visit Kenrokuen. This is one of the so-called three great gardens of Japan. These traditional Japanese gardens are designed very specifically to combine plants, rock, and water to create simple and clean lines for the eye to enjoy, reflecting tranquility and peaceful contemplation. Next, we venture into the Japanese Alps. This is a mountainous belt that stretches right across Japan's main island, Honshu, from east to west. And we drive first to the town of Takayama, pausing along the way to explore this town pictured here, Shirakawagu, with its traditional 300-year-old thatched farmhouses. As you see from the picture, the pitch of the farmhouse roofs is very steep, and this is because this is one of the snowiest regions in the whole of Japan, where normally in a normal winter they'd expect 10 meters of snowfall. We stay nearby at Takayama, a traditional mountain town with many of its Edo period buildings still upright and still intact. And this area here, Takayama, is also famous for its beef. It's said to be the best beef in Japan, possibly in the world. The cattle is reared in the local area in the pristine mountain wet meadows, and for that reason is absolutely delicious. And we'll definitely get a chance to try it. We also visit the nearby 16th century Matsumoto Castle. This is known as the Crow due to its very dark wooden exteriors. Now, this more rural region of Japan is also perfect for getting close to some of Japan's deep-rooted traditions. We visit, for example, a miso house to learn about how to make miso paste, the staple ingredient in Japanese cuisine. We also go to a wasabi farm, pictured here, to learn about how wasabi is produced. Plus, we learn how to make washi paper in the traditional Japanese way, and we visit a samurai house to learn the culture and customs of the samurai. From Nagano, the city that hosted the 1998 Winter Olympics, we make a side trip to visit the Japanese macaques, better known as the snow monkeys, at Yudanaka, bathing in their hot springs. These are the most northern dwelling of all the monkey species in the world, and can only manage in these climates because of the thermal springs. These snow monkeys are famous for their intelligence. They've learned not only how to stay warm in the thermal waters, but also how to wash their food before eating it. And they sometimes even roll snowballs just for fun. From the Japanese Alps, we head south to Mount Fuji, Japan's highest mountain at 3,776 meters. This iconic mountain is intimately connected with so many aspects of Japan's history, its culture, and its identity. We spend a full day in the area with a cable car ride from Hakone and a boat trip on Lake Ashi, both with lovely views of the mountain and the surrounding landscapes. Finally, the tour ends at Tokyo, with 2 full days to take in the best of the city. Few other places combine the ultra-modern and the ancient so effortlessly as Tokyo. We visit the 634-meter-high Tokyo Skytree, the tallest tower in the world and the second tallest building in the world, with stunning views out across the city in all directions. We also walk over the iconic Shibuya crossing, symbol of modern Tokyo, and where up to 3,000 pedestrians can cross the road simultaneously. But there's time too to visit old Tokyo. For example, the Sensoji Temple, pictured here, which dates right back to the 7th century. This is the oldest and most sacred site in the city. So that brings us to an end of the Japan Uncovered tour. Because the tour is so varied and so comprehensive, it has become our most popular tour to Japan, as I said. Some of the departures in autumn this year and spring next year are already full or close to full. So all that remains for me is to say thank you very much for your time today and to wish you all a happy Sakura or happy cherry blossom season. Thank you and goodbye.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I am now with Peter. Peter has joined us today here at Wendy Woo, and Peter is one of our VIP customers. And we're intrigued, Peter, we're all intrigued to find out more about Japan and what the experience was like. And I believe this was your first time to Japan?
Yes, it's my first trip to Japan and my first time with Wendy Woo.
Yes, so first time to Japan, first time with Wendy Woo. Got to ask you, Peter, was Japan everything that you thought it would be?
Yes, it was, yes. I was looking forward to the food, especially, and the Japanese chef stalls are excellent, obviously, and the presentation was fantastic. So all the food that we had over the whole 8 days I was there was fantastic, well presented, great quality as well. And we had a lot of local dishes to the cities that we visited and the regions that we visited. It was fantastic. But overall, it was a great experience. We visited Tokyo, Mount Fuji, Kyoto, and finished up in Osaka.
Wow. So you saw all the kind of key sites.
Yes,
and I believe because you did this in a week. You
yes,
did a week
8 days, yes. Yeah. Well, for me, it was just about right.
Yeah.
About 8 days. And, I did enjoy it. So the variety was fantastic. We were escorted everywhere. You do need a guide in case you have any difficulty with the language for the translations, because although a lot of the signs are both English and in Japanese characters, most people don't speak English as the first language, so you do need a guide.
So, Peter, I understand as well that you did some incredible experiences and very different experiences on this tour. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So on the second day in Tokyo, we visited a tea house, which also included some sort of calligraphy, which is writing with a quill, black ink, and we had set of characters to draw as well. Just artistic skills was evident as whatever the case may be. But it was a nice experience, and you got to keep it at the end and take it back with you. And I think we were supposed to write happiness in some sort of characters, and that was interesting. And we had lots of they gave some practice sessions before using the quills before we did we actually drew the characters and how to do. And then after that we had a tea ceremony, a formal tea ceremony, and that's quite important in Japanese culture, which I hadn't realised how really important it is. Maybe if you see some Japanese films after, they do tend to stress on the importance of tea ceremonies, but to see this off was great.
I mean, it says from all accounts, it's quite a performance, isn't it? The tea ceremony.
It is, yes. It was. It took about 15 minutes, I think, for her to. So she puts the bowl in, and she says things, then passes the bowl from one hand to another, and does other things as well before the ceremony finishes, and then you get to taste the tea. it is quite a complicated process.
Amazing. So Peter, you were travelling solo on this week in Japan as a solo traveller. How did you find that experience, and how did you find the group dynamics?
Yeah, so there was 18 of us in the group, the guide on top and the driver. The experience overall was great. That everybody was quite amicable in the group. Nobody didn't get on with anybody, so everybody was well catered for in the group as well. I would say people shouldn't be afraid of solo travel because it does enrich your life. I think visiting other places does enrich your life. I've travelled a lot of places solo the past few years. I've never found any problems for solo travelling, but you always do need a guide, I think, for a lot of places if you don't speak the language at all. But, it's a great experience.
Solo travellers who are watching today, who may be thinking about travelling solo but haven't made that decision, the food aspect is something sometimes that can worry people. Are people going to be left to make their own choices, find their own restaurants? So how did you find that?
No, so all our meals were set. So everywhere we had a set number of meals, and so I had a meal for every single night, and almost every single lunch as well. So we had a variety of Japanese and Western meals, but it's nice to have that all set out for you before, so you don't have to fish around for something to eat or figure out what's what, trying to read the menus. It was all set. It was a nice experience.
So kind of lasting comments on that, if we're viewers today watching, they're not sure, they kind of want to go but haven't made that decision. Peter, you've done it, you've been there. What would you say?
Well, I would say overall it's a fantastic experience. I love my time there, and it was nice having a guide, and everything's planned for you. Some people don't like that, but I think it's fantastic, having everything set out for you. Visited just enough historical sites to keep it not to be totally saturated, and a nice variety of places to visit. So overall, it was a fantastic experience. I'd recommend it to anybody.
Oh, thank you. Peter, thank you very much for this day. Great talking with you, and we look forward to welcoming you back with Wendy Returns again.
Everyone. So, Japan Uncovered, as you've heard, is a really wonderful tour which focuses on all of the highlights on the island of Honshu. But of course, as the #1 tour operator to Japan, we don't just offer one tour. We actually have 11 tours to Japan, and they range from 8 up to 21 days, taking in all the famous highlights, but also taking you to some off the beaten track wonders. You can choose to explore from Kyushu down in the south up to the north in Hokkaido. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more now about 3 of our other tours to Japan, which will show you a slightly different side of the country. The first tour is Japan and the Scenic South. And like Japan Uncovered, this tour takes in all the highlights of Honshu. So you'll visit Hiroshima, Kyoto and Tokyo, but it also explores the beauty of the lesser known island of Kyushu in the south, where you'll find active volcanoes, hot springs, and an island that has its own unique culture. This tour starts on the island of Kyushu, and we fly into Fukuoka. Well, Fukuoka is actually the closest port to mainland Asia, and it's geographically closer to Seoul than it is to Tokyo. It's always been a really cosmopolitan of Japanese cities. Whilst there, we're going to explore beautiful classical gardens, visit one of the country's most important shrines, and enjoy a cruise on the Yanagawa River, which is just magical, especially if you're lucky enough to go in the spring when the banks are full of cherry blossom. You'll also visit the magnificent Kumamoto Castle, which is widely regarded as one of the 3 premier castles in Japan. Then you're off to see Mount Aso, a huge active volcano. It's spectacular, one of the largest craters in the world, and it's surrounded by other active volcanoes, so the views are really incredible. And from there, we head northeast to Beppu, which is one of Japan's most famous hot spring resorts. It's set between the ocean and volcanic mountains, and the area is home to more than 2,000 onsen, which are traditional spa resorts. And in fact, we'll stay in a hotel with its own onsen facilities, so you'll all be able to enjoy a hot soak and soak away any aches and pains and tiredness. And from there, we move on to Honshu, the main island, and then we'll start to explore all of the delights of that island, which Peter has already told you about. The next tour to tell you about is Japan by Rail. Japan by Rail is our most comprehensive tour of Japan. It's a full 21-day tour, packed with sights, packed with experiences. You'll be travelling mainly by bullet train, and on this tour you'll take in the highlights of all 3 of Japan's main islands: Kyushu in the south, Honshu and Hokkaido to the north. We'll start in the south, as on our last tour, flying into Fukuoka. We then visit both Nagasaki and Hiroshima, where you'll be able to visit some moving museums and also some beautiful gardens. We then move over to Honshu and take in all of the highlights that Peter talked about earlier: Kyoto, Osaka, Nara, Mount Fuji, Tokyo. But the time that you've got on this tour means you'll be able to see even more. We'll cruise on Matsushima Bay, we'll enjoy a tour of the Nikka Whiskey Factory, and then we'll move on to the island of Hokkaido in the far north. Now, Hokkaido is far more sparsely populated than the rest of the country, and again, it has its own unique culture, and it's a part of Japan that few people visit, so it's a real treat. Now, Japan by Rail is packed full of experiences, and you will have so many opportunities to really immerse yourself in the culture. You'll get to try your hand at making momiji manju, which are little buns that look like maple leaves. You'll learn how to make sushi. You'll decorate your own sake cup to take home as a souvenir, whilst learning all about the significance and the history of the drink. You'll witness traditional tea ceremonies, you'll enjoy a calligraphy lesson, you'll try your hand at fan painting, you'll try Zen meditation, the list goes on. Wendy Wu Tours loves to pack your tours full of these experiences. Remember, they're all included in your fully inclusive tour price, and they really are exclusive once-in-a-lifetime experiences. And finally, on to tour number 3. If you want to really get off the beaten track and get under the skin of modern and historic Japan, then the tour for you is Offbeat Japan. Offbeat Japan is one of our Go Beyond tours, and that means you'll be travelling in a slightly smaller group. These tours are all about getting off the beaten track and having some quite unique experiences. Of course, on this tour, you will see the iconic highlights, Tokyo, Kyoto, Mount Fuji, and so on. But this tour is really about immersing yourself in the culture. Japan itself has such a fascinating mix of the old and the new, the ancient traditions, and then the new modern world, the technology. In one day on this tour in Tokyo, we get to try our hand at the traditional art of taiko drumming. Then we go and visit the famous Meiji Shrine. And there's other experiences too. So on this tour, you will learn to dress yourselves in a kimono. You'll be able to try origami and of course witness a traditional tea ceremony in Kyoto. And wherever you go in Japan, if there's a regional dish, our guides will find you an opportunity to try it. One of the really special highlights on this tour is a visit to Koyasan. It's a very spiritual part of Japan, and you'll get to spend the night in a 13th century guest house. You'll wake up early with the monks and join them for their morning prayer, listening to their chants. It's such a magical experience and such a special opportunity. So hopefully that's given you a little bit more information about some of our other Japan tours. You're spoilt for choice. And if you need any more help deciding which one's for you, give us a call and our reservations team will be able to answer your questions and help you find the tour that suits you best.
Ladies and gentlemen, what an incredible show. Yes, we hope you've enjoyed your journey through Japan just as much as we have today. It really has been incredible. And as you've seen, the pictures of the cherry blossom are amazing. So please, if you want to witness this, the dramatic sakura, the cherry blossom, then please do get booking for 2024 because places are going to go extremely quickly. And so now, ladies and gentlemen, yes, we're opening up the VIP Travel Lounge. If you scroll down your screen, you will see the red button on your screen. Simply click that button and you'll be taken into the lounge where you'll be able to meet our Japan team, the travel experts who are just waiting to answer all of your questions. On today's show, anything that you've seen traveling in Japan, cherry blossom and escorted touring with Wendy Wu Tours. Can't wait. So let's go over to the lounge now. I'll see you there.
We found Wendy Wu to be spot on from start to finish, with all the actual interactions from the booking to the preparation for the trip to arriving at the airport. It's been painless and faultless. Wendy Wu, they really do look after you.
I've been on other tours before and yeah, Wendy Wu definitely includes sort of a lot more, it makes it a lot easier.
I liked the idea of what Wendy Wu offered. They have an excellent reputation. So I looked at a number of other tour companies, but Wendy Wu seemed to be the best.
Everything being included is really important. It makes it very, very easy and you don't have to worry. I just felt confident that that Wendy Wu would know, the best places to go and the best things to do, and it's proved so far on the trip, it's proved correct.
I've been really impressed with not only right from the start when I rang up to book, the staff in the office were really helpful, just kind of organising things and making sure that we got all the right paperwork in.
Our national escort was Lily. Lily's been fantastic, so full of energy and so helpful. She calls us Lily's family.
because I was referring to us as Liz's family. And I think she's really helped us actually bond as a group, which made the whole trip much more enjoyable.
The Great Wall was extraordinary. It genuinely brought tears to my eyes, looking out and seeing, understanding the history, and just seeing how it was built in inhospitable terrain across the mountain ridges. It was awe-inspiring.
Wendy Wu staff, the local guides, our national guide Lily, they've been more than helpful on many occasions, and they have done absolutely everything they can to ensure that we've had the trip of a lifetime.
I hugged a panda, which was an amazing experience and one that I will never forget.
I recommend Wendy Wu tour to everybody, and tell them that if they want to go to China, nobody better than Wendy Wu tour.
I will recommend Wendy Wu. It's been a terrific experience with them. I've been very pleased.
Oh, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
I'd recommend it to people that want to go on an adventure and visit somewhere they'd probably only see once, but to see the authenticity rather than just the tourist highlights that you could see internet.
I will certainly recommend Wendy Wu tours when I go back to England. In fact, I'm sure we'll be going on more Wendy Wu tours because we want to go to Vietnam and other places, and I'll see Wendy Wu do those tours, so we'll certainly be booking again with Wendy Wu.